Welcome back to another episode of the Easy Button Real Estate Podcast. I am again today your only host, and we are here with one of our amazing clients who's been a client of mine for a long, long time. His name is Mr. Greg Hunsucker, running a company, GSH Property Solutions out of Cincinnati, Ohio. Welcome, Greg. As we get into the show, why don't you start off with just a little bit about who you are, what your business does, why you think the Bengals are going to have a decent season this year, even though they seem to keep blowing it and have no defense. And then we'll get into the show.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I am a wholesaler here in Cincinnati. I've done a couple wholesales, but primarily wholesaler. So I started this business back in 2023. Didn't get my first deal until December of 2023. Last year I did about 13 deals, average deal size maybe about 25,000. This year I'm at about 10 deals. So trying to scale up my company. Just had hired once before, didn't work out great. And then now I'm hiring again. And now they just started here on this past Monday and trying to scale my company. As for the Bengals, yeah, if we get Trey Hendrickson signed and we sign our first round draft pick, maybe we'll be decent, but big Bengals fan and definitely hoping that we're going to do well. So
love it. Well, Greg, you and I met or first chatted, I would say probably would have been like February of 2024, right? A year, a little over, a year and 4 months or so ago. I think we started working together in March of 2024 or April, one of those months. And I think your journey is going to be relevant to a lot of people's because your first year in this business looked different. I mean, you had a lot of first year success and you did more deals in your first year than most people would have. So what do you think, one, what did those first couple of months of running this look like, your first couple of deals? And what do you think allowed you to, in your first year, have a decent amount of success, right? A lot of, like for me, I spent the first 8 months looking for my first deal, right? So it took me a long, long time to get my feet under me. What do you think helped you in that first year, kind of get your feet under you and get to revenue, get to money coming in faster than I think most people do?
Yeah, so I guess it still took me a decent amount of time. Sorry if you heard that ring. I was trying to exit out of it. But yeah, I think it was like after my first marketing channel was pay-per-click, and that allowed me to those leads are a lot warmer. And I actually didn't realize really what I was doing. Like once I got my first deal, I think I closed it in 7 days time. And I thought that was...
You mean like from contract to actually closing and getting paid was 7 days?
Yeah.
You're like, man, this business is easy.
Yeah. And it ended up being like a $35,000 deal, if not more, which Cincinnati is definitely, I don't know, you can get a good deal size, but I was like, wow, that was very big for my first deal. And then I almost got another deal that ended up falling through because of liens that same week. And then next thing you know, it started getting pretty busy. And then I think I locked up 3 deals the next month. And then I realized all right, selling the deals is not always, I had a great deal for that pay-per-click. And then the rest were, I think direct mail to start off. I realized all right, there's a lot of fluctuation. So I was then trying to sell the deals. So then the next month I was busy. It's hard for me to then lock up more deals. So it was really sporadic in the very beginning, but I definitely had some success and kind of relying on talking to a lot of other people. But I realized pretty quickly you also have to get your marketing numbers up higher. And I was never afraid to increase my marketing spend, even though I wasn't consistently pulling in deals. So after I did pull in that first deal, I instantly started with direct mail. Then I instantly pulled in. It was pretty quickly after that, maybe actually 3 or 4 months until I started using Easy Button Investor to start getting more consistent leads, which that's what I do like about cold calling leads is because they're pretty consistent on coming in. So just making sure you're getting enough leads.
Well, yeah, I think you've never been afraid to invest into your business. And I think a lot of people, my kind of encapsulation and thoughts on why a lot of people are really slow at the beginning is they think of investing into their business as an expense. And I think a lot of the work we've done together, and I work with Greg one-on-one a lot, and the same methodology that I've built our overall Easy Button real estate product and team around. But I think a lot of the work we've done is framing and psychology around what business is. And a lot of investors and agents, they see every dollar going out as an expense, and they see every time they spend money on marketing, like, oh my goodness, is that money going to come back? And I think you do, the reason you've had growth and you've been able to build the team that you've built, which we're going to talk about here in a bit, only 2 years or so into the business, is because of your willingness to be wrong and take chances and invest in the business and invest in education and invest in coaching. And I think one of the things that'll be very valuable for listeners is coaching itself has become kind of a stomped on term in our industry because of the amount of fake gurus there are out there that have never ran a business, that don't understand systems and process and hiring and the stress of business, and just sell a course and change their hair color every week. So what for you, because you've always been not afraid to invest into coaching and education and growing your business and what I call growing your ceiling. Why? Like, if you had to answer that question for the audience, why have you never had the same kind of, like, a lot of people, it's just, and I don't blame them. Like, there's a lot of slimy stuff that goes on out there, but why have you been so willing, a year or two in, to invest over and over again back in your business to expand your ceiling? What has always made you comfortable doing that?
Yeah, I guess there's, the first thing's probably I do have like a inherent like higher risk tolerance than other people. I, like, in my personal life, I'm definitely a thrill seeker, and it probably goes into the business side of things. So, but when I first started the business, I actually quit my job and went full time into this, and I didn't know what I was doing at all. So the only way for me to find out anything was to invest into coaching. And I figured out, like, pretty quickly, yeah, there are slimy coaches out there. There are people and courses that aren't great, but continuing to, like, just because I got burned on one, like with one coach, doesn't mean that I'm gonna get burned by the second. And really wanting to make sure, like, I don't want my past failures to burn me again in the future. So when I've had bad coaches in the past, I didn't let that affect me going forward. Also, I know that by paying a coach, I'm paying an ignorance tax.
Yeah.
So I can then get ahead faster than if I was doing it by myself. So that's kind of why I've always looked into coaching and was like, hey, if I can, like, get to making a couple $100,000 a year or $1 million a year or whatever it is, whatever the difference is, what I'm making that year versus what I, like, want to make, that's an ignorance tax that I'm paying every year, no matter what. So I'd rather pay
I love that.
coaching.
I love that. Yeah, I've always had coaches myself, and there's obviously I've gotten bitten in the ass sometimes and spent money on a program or a coach or a mastermind where I was like, yeah, that didn't really do a lot for me. But then there's those ones that you just get an outsized return because of how much you accelerate your learning curve. And I've found, business on paper is pretty simple, but it's the day in, day out execution, accountability, and that just that, like, daily emotional roller coaster that no one really talks about that online, but that grueling daily emotional roller coaster where you can wake up and have your coffee and feel on top of the world. And then by noon, you're like, man, should I even be in business for myself? Like, this is shitty. And then by 5 p.m. again, you're like, man, okay, like maybe I have a chance. And then doing that every single day, you have to be a little crazy. And so having someone to keep you accountable and focused, I think, is incredibly monumental. So let's move into the team part, right? A lot of the work that you and I have done working on your business over the past year, a lot of the work you've done with us at Easy Button is building the small team that you've built. And I think what holds a lot of people back with the unwillingness to invest in education is the unwillingness to delegate and build a team. So what does your little army look like right now? What does your kind of infrastructure and setup look like? I know obviously we just helped you bring on a new sales guy. You have your lead manager that we help place for you, and you have a little workshop, a little army going on. So walk through what that setup is and where things are today for your team. And, I think that you guys listening, this is really cool because Greg, I think I'm not mistaken, 2.5 years into building this thing, right? Somewhere in that range.
So I did, my first marketing was July of 2023, but I was doing texting at the time. It was like very middle school. So first deal didn't land though until, like, once I started upping my marketing up until December, but then it really took off. But for building my team and like finally getting good coaches or whatever it is, I think the first person I brought on was actually a admin, which actually Cole helped me place as well. Really helped take some of the small stuff off my plate where it's like meaningless, where it still needs to get done, but it's not revenue generating activities. It's not the most important work. So I had that person for a little while. I now have like moved on to a company overseas that kind of runs a lot of my back end things. So they help a lot with like list pulling, other things like that. I also have, the like a follow-up specialist type of role with Sam that has been wonderful, because when I brought her on, she's actually had more sales experience and more real estate specific experience than I did. So Cole actually introduced me to her previously. Now I've got Harrison. So I realize also, when you're building, if you want to build something bigger, you just can't do everything yourself. You run out of time during the day. Like, especially as you're getting more deals, you're just like, where's this time? So I'm constantly thinking like, all right, we have to get to a certain point to hire a certain position. And then after we get to that point, where do we have to build to then hire that next person? So I'm very much wanting to build a team. And yeah, the more you build, you do get busier though for the first parts of it, but it does get easier to then start doing that higher deal flow. So
And you need to be willing to fail, right? Because you have,
yeah,
you've had some turnover, right? Like you had a salesperson that didn't work out. And again, that kind of goes back to the core root of what I want to chat about today, is just the kind of framing and psychology around business and being willing to make mistakes, willing to fail. How do you think, Greg, what you and I have worked on, I've kind of turned in the overall training program that we implement for clients at Easy Button Real Estate with our deal engine, which is our core product. How has and I guess now our just framework around psychology and business helped you in your journey through the ups and downs and all around? I know we've had a lot of conversations some weeks where you're like, man, I think this is it. Like, this is done. Deal flow's been dry for a while. Finances aren't in a great spot. And we always seem to find a way through it. So how has that impacted you? And what do you think your favorite parts are about our methodology, which is, so originally my methodology on just business and in general, and how to think about it, how to strategize, how to deal with the ups and downs and the highs and lows and the cash flow crunches and the employee issues and all of that?
I definitely think that if I didn't have so I meet with Cole anywhere from once to twice a week. And if I didn't have someone that I can lean on for immediate, what do I do here, or whatever the case is, I definitely might have given up a lot longer ago, because as he mentioned earlier on in this conversation, you might feel like you're on top of the world here for 1 second. I've had some really great months where I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to absolutely crush this year. And then a couple months later, I'm like, damn, where'd all my deals go? So having someone to lean on has been great. Really framing it out, also he mentioned in your head, you're going through periods of toughness and also periods of great, where you're like, all right, I just need to make it another day. Focus on the things that really matter. And really, when you're making decisions, also trying to think about it, like Cole was saying, as a framework versus this is a one-time thing. So I know when I first hired, and that was the first time I was ever managing anyone, not being very successful, knew all right, the next go around is going to be better. So I had other employees. I did have a transaction coordinator as well. Went through a couple of them. And then I was like, I just need to take a step back from that role in general. But yeah, he's definitely Cole's helped me with the framework on dealing with different situations that come up, and say all right, let me just place this situation in this framework and then make a decision from that. So that's always been helpful. And then also having him talk to me multiple times a week has been super helpful, just in general of I don't know what the hell to do right in this situation. So that's kind of how I try to just implement whatever's happening to those frameworks that you taught me.
I love that. That's very well put. Well, what are you, I ask the question, what are you building towards now? What is your, I like to bring on, every week on the show, we have one real operator, typically a client that's in the trenches doing deals, making things happen. What is your, 12, 24 month plan? What are you building in your head? What's a win for you in this business? And I talk about a lot, building your dream business, not building yourself a prison. And we talk about that together. But what are you building towards right now that gets you up in the morning, that gets you excited? What is your vision for GSH, I believe, home buyers? And or GHS, I don't know, I might have mixed around those three letters. What is your vision for the next 12, 24 months?
Yeah. So if we're thinking 12 to 24 months out, if I can get to the point, my vision is to have somebody in all of the seats that I need it, where if I want to take a vacation, I can. If I want to not be in Cincinnati, I can. Currently, I'm living in Cincinnati. I'm building this business. All of my marketing is in Cincinnati. I'd love to build a team and they're able to like someone in the acquisitions role, someone in the dispositions role, a few different people actually there. And then for the acquisition side, and then have like a sales manager and then maybe like an operations manager where I don't have to be in the day to day. So long-term thinking, I'm definitely wanting to like, I think that I like to work. I would like to not like work as much as I do sometimes, but I know that comes with just being a business owner. But right now it's very hard for me to take time off. And I definitely want like 12 months from now, I feel like I should have no problem being able to take like a week vacation and having nothing fail on my business and whether it's growing or not. But I want to build a business that's going to continue to grow without me, whether I'm in the office that day or not.
I like it. So revenue wise, what is your, what are you trying to build towards revenue wise in terms of what do you think will support that?
Yeah. So revenue wise, I know like the first goal for me is hitting like $100,000 a month or whatever in revenue, not profit, but I would assume that once we're getting to the point where having like a sales manager or whatever it is, ultimate goal, I want to get to like making at least $1 million a year. That's the goal. And that's profit of what I would want to make, whether that's going to be $3 million business, $2 million business. I'll have to see kind of how that shakes out. But that's the ultimate goal is I want to do that so then I can kind of live a life that I want to. I would like to live where I'd like to. I love Florida, so love to move down there, be closer to my twin brother. And I know my expenses are going to go way up once I move out of Cincinnati. So really pushing towards, I'd love to be $1 million profit business is what I really want to get to.
I love that. Well, as we head towards the end of the show, man, there's a question I like to ask, which is, if you had to tell the audience who is a good fit for Easy Button, our coaching methodology, our lead generation, just our overall environment and culture towards how to build a business, who is a good fit for that out there and listener land that's listening to the show?
I would say if you're going to pay for coaching, it's going to be something that you're going to be wanting to continuously like invest because they're going to be pushing you like when you do make money to go and invest that, whether into more marketing, whether it's investing that into like hiring employees. And if you're not going to be willing to kind of listen to someone else telling you what to do or take their advice, you can always take their advice and like tweak it or do whatever, but you've got to be willing to reinvest into the company. And if you want to be a one-man show, you absolutely could do that in this business. That's not really my goals. That's why I have coaches, but someone that's willing to invest into their future, whether it's through marketing, hiring, coaching, you're going to have to do that. And then kind of willing to be coachable as well. So coachable, willing to invest into your company and actually looking for growth are the people that would probably be a good fit for either coaching or Easy Button investors, whether so you can able to like grow your pipeline and everything to make sure you're landing deals.
Well, Greg, man, I'm super grateful that you came on. Because we worked together for a long, long time. And again, our goal is to bring on real operators once a week on top of our normal shows so people understand what it looks like, right? Like at every level. So excited to see what you build and continue to be a part of it. And if anyone wants to, reach out, get in contact with you, I have been pushing on you to start posting on Instagram stuff for a while. But what is your Instagram if someone wanted to reach out if they're in the Cincinnati area? We have a lot of listeners. I'm sure some of them are. If they wanted to do a deal or send you a deal or buy a deal from you and they listen to the show, how do they get in contact with you out there in Cincinnati?
You can reach out to me on Instagram it's G Hun, my last name, HUN 36. And then the name of the business here is GSH Property Group. If you look us up, you can find my website. But best way to get in contact with me is probably reach out to me on Instagram. Happy to connect. Happy to talk about any of my experience. Happy to also provide whatever feedback. I've actually talked to other people that have gone on to coach with Cole or whatever it is, but love talking real estate, love talking business in general. So happy to connect there and chat, and I can give you my phone number there and go from there.
Love it, man. Well, thanks for coming on. You guys out there in listener land, obviously we don't grow this through paid promotion. We only grow through word of mouth, and we've grown exponentially recently, actually having our biggest ever first week of downloads for a show this week. So super exciting stuff. If you guys ever have any comments or guests you want to see, reach out to me or Tucker on Instagram. And as always, a like, a review, a comment on any platforms where you listen to the show means the world. So until next time, you're only one deal away.